What you're about to watch in the next 60 minutes is going to be a recording of a live presentation that I did on the topic of UGC 2.0 and how UGC 2.0 allowed us to scale an e-commerce client that we currently work with from $1 million a year to over $5 million a year in run rate, and we're currently pacing for a $7 million a year. So in this presentation, in this video, you're going to learn how to implement UGC 2.0 into your e-commerce business, what actually is UGC 2.0 and the different ad creative styles that supplement the UGC 2.0. You're also going to learn about the great creative reset that's happening right now and the big phenomenal opportunity that you have in the next 6 to 12 months to really capitalize on this before your competitors actually catch up. So with that being said, at the end of the video, I'm also going to share a link to the top 10 content creators that we currently work with that help us produce those UGC 2.0 ad creatives for our clients that currently generate over $3 million a month in revenue. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video and I look forward to seeing you again on this channel. First of all, I want to say that the fact that you guys are here today investing time to learn about advanced, and I'm talking about really advanced, I'm not here to bullshit you, I'm here to share everything that's going on behind the scenes in our ad creative agency. So these are going to be advanced creative strategies, and your competitors are busy currently running the same tired ad creatives that they have been using in 2023, in 2024, and this really says something about you because you're part of a rare community of forward-thinking people, founders, operators, marketers who understand that in 2025, creative is the battlefield where e-commerce businesses either break through or just get left behind, because most brand owners will wait until they start seeing their numbers declining. They will wait until Q1 of next year to reassess their strategy, consider a different strategy, etc., etc. And they will wait until they have already wasted hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in ineffective ad creative. But that's not going to be you, because today you will be getting ahead of the curve. And that mindset is exactly what is going to separate you from others e-commerce businesses. And the businesses that scale to 9, 8, and 9 figures and beyond that are just those types of people. One, who take action. Some house rules. First of all, I really want to kindly ask you to close all of your other tabs, put your phone on silent, and get ready to take notes, because the strategies that I'm going to be sharing today, they are worth millions of dollars when implemented correctly. Second, obviously stay until the end, because at the end of this presentation, as I mentioned previously, first of all, I will be giving away a list of our top tier content creators that can produce pretty much everything that you want them to produce. Once again, podcasts, street interviews, long form VSLs, short form UGC ads, etc., etc. So you'll be able to directly reach out to them and hire them and start producing great content for your brand tomorrow. Now, last thing, please keep those tactics that we are going to be discussing today confidential, because in one way or another, this is your competitive advantage. Like, not many people are going to have access to these strategies, and this could potentially put you in front of your competitors. So yeah, don't share these tactics if you want to get ahead of your competition. And with that being said, I'm now going to share my screen because there are a lot of things that I would love to show you today. Here on the side, as you can see, I have prepared some examples, but the main thing, as you can see right here, is this document. First things first, who the fuck is Lachazar? For those of you who don't know me or our agency, let me quickly establish why you should be listening to me. So far this year, as you can see on this screenshot right here, 1st of January to 17th of June, we have spent over $6 million on Meta, and we have generated just above $16 million in sales. So once again, the tactics that I'm going to be sharing with you are not just some tactics that have worked for one client and never again. This is something that's working across multiple 7 and 8 figure businesses that are actively scaling and growing their accounts. We have worked with some of the fastest growing D2C companies, such as Hush Blankets, Move, Turtle, Thought Catalog, just to name a few. And I have also scaled my own e-commerce business from 0 to 100,000 in sales in just 4 months, before, of course, we shut down the project because me and my co-founder just didn't get along as business partners, which always happens. That's life. And in fact, I've been in the trenches of e-commerce advertising since 2019, back when a simple product image with some text overlay could generate you a 5x return on ad spend without much effort. And I have witnessed and navigated every major shift in industry since then, from the iOS 14 apocalypse to the rise and fall of traditional user-generated content. We're also partnering up with some of the most successful and most used e-com SaaS tools that consistently feature our work onto their social media, newsletters, as motion, as foreplay. So what makes us different is we don't just produce content. We have developed a proprietary system that we like to call UGC 2.0 that consistently delivers winning ad creatives at scale, even in today's hyper-competitive landscape. And it's really not uncommon for us to be receiving thank you messages from our clients, such as the one, for example, that you see on your screen, for completely transforming the business. Like, we get this every day, and these screenshots that you're going to see right here, most of them are actually taken in the past 30 days. So we just want to say the concepts you're saying are amazing. And this is an 8-figure business that has worked with some of the most successful ad creative gurus that you see every single day on your newsfeed. I'm not going to talk names here because I don't want to belittle anybody's effort, but some of the biggest female, maybe not female, agencies that are telling you that they are the best right now. So for example, here, this guy requires us to keep scaling. Brandon, he just watched the street interviews that we created for him, and this is exactly what they wanted. These people's responses are perfect. Like, this is the level of detail. This is, once again, one of the 8-figure companies that we have been able to work with. Here you can see the founder of Hush Blankets, Aaron, introducing me to his associates, to his friends, because of the great work that we have done for Hush Blankets. And then here, this new brand that we currently work with. This is actually from today. I took this screenshot because obviously we're scaling up a business from the ground up. So he's been quite surprised that we have been able to find sales at this cost per acquisition so quickly. And of course, praising the team, and the team praising, myself in this particular example. So currently there is a massive opportunity and industry transformation happening because this is the most critical moment for your business in the last 5 years. We are in the middle of what I call the Great Creative Reset, which is a fundamental shift in how consumers respond to social media advertising that's creating both massive challenges and also massive opportunities for the brands that are able to capitalize on this transformation. Because here are the facts. Meta and TikTok currently are flooded with cheap and, quite frankly, terrible user-generated content, because the barrier to entry for creating decent ads, it just has collapsed, because anybody with a smartphone can make basic UGC content, like pretty much anyone. Consumer attention spans have dropped to an all-time low of 1.7 seconds before deciding whether or not they want to keep watching your ad creative. So this is how competitive it is. Most importantly, the old ad creative formulas that have worked 2022 to 2024 are now actively repelling customers rather than attracting them. E-commerce is really brutal, and even the most prominent e-com voices all mention the same thing. You see the co-founder of Obvi, Meta Performance is trash, the CEO of Jones Road Beauty, quoting a report from one of the biggest agencies in the space that have come to the conclusion that there is a 14% decrease year over year in new customer acquisition efficiency, which is, like, quite frankly, pretty shit. And here's what's really happening beneath the surface. Why it matters more than ever in 2025. The human brain is a pattern recognition machine. It is designed to quickly identify familiar patterns and make snap judgments in a matter of seconds, in a matter of milliseconds, about whether or not something deserves their attention. Because if you really think about it, have you watched a Western movie and known exactly how it would end within the first 10 minutes? Quite frankly, probably the answer is yes. because there's always a reluctant hero, there is always a clear villain, there's also always this inevitable showdown where both of them fight against each other, and you can predict that by the end of the movie the hero is gonna be victorious and he's gonna defeat the villain. Like, this happens pretty much in 99% of the Western movies out there. And when you can predict the entire plot after just a few minutes, like, what happens? You go to the kitchen, you open a beer, you open Facebook, you open Instagram, you open TikTok, you start chatting with your friends, and then eventually you turn off the TV, right? Because it doesn't make sense, because you already know what's going to happen. And this is exactly what's happening with traditional advertising right now. And to visualize everything, it's no coincidence that some of the biggest entertainment phenomena in recent years, shows like Squid Game and Parasite and other Eastern productions, have captured global attention by breaking Western storytelling patterns, because they completely shatter your expectations. Like, I remember the first time that I watched Squid Game, I was addicted to this show, like addicted. I couldn't stop watching it because I had no idea what's going to happen in the end. Like, was the main character going to die? Was he going to be victorious? Are all of the people going to survive? Are all of them going to die? Like, I had no idea what was going to happen because they followed unfamiliar frameworks. And most importantly, they were just impossible to predict, which always keeps your attention. And it's impossible for you to ignore them. And this is precisely the same dynamic at play in advertising today, because over the past 3 years, consumers have been bombarded. Like, they have been bombarded with the exact same ad creative patterns thousands of times. The person speaking directly to the camera with the intense, if you are X, stop scrolling. Like, this is going to be a life-changing video for you. The overly enthusiastic, this is a game changer UGC testimonial, which was like completely fake, but it worked so well back in 2022. Even like TikTok recommendations, TikTok made me buy it. Like, some content creators really abused the TikTok made me buy trend, and until what happened? Until it became ignored by people. That's why it just doesn't work right now. So there's always this predictable problem agitation solution structure, the same visual formatting, pretty much everything is the same. And neurological research with eye tracking studies shows something alarming. The average consumer now recognizes an ad within 0.7 seconds of viewing it, often even before your message begins. So the moment that they recognize this is an ad, the brain essentially shuts down because they have seen this pattern before and they know exactly where it's going, and that the fact that you are going to be shoving a product down their throat. So obviously this is not worth their time. In fact, what we see internally from our research is that traditional UGC style ads are now experiencing faster drop-off rates, lower engagement rates, and the most troubling, active brand damage, because people recognize that this is fake. People recognize how inauthentic the content creator is when they endorse your product. Like, they know that the content creator has been paid money to say a word that doesn't mean anything to this person. So this is just another desperate brand for those people. Now, just as Eastern cinema disrupted Hollywood, UGC 2.0 is about creating pattern interruptions that make consumers stop and think, I need to pay attention to this, because it's focused on education and entertainment. When you break the expected pattern, when you show up in a way that doesn't immediately trigger the response, this is just another ad, something happens. First of all, you bypass the ad detection filters of your consumers. And second of all, you earn genuine attention because you've disrupted expectations. Third of all, you create actual interest and curiosity rather than immediate dismissal. And in the attention economy of 2025, this pattern interruption, it's massive. It's worth its weight in gold. And here's what's fascinating. The brands that have mastered this approach are seeing results that defy expectations and industry standards. So by watching this masterclass today, I hope that you can really become one of those brands or one of those marketers by understanding how UGC 2.0 is going to impact your ad creative strategies. And I have a few examples for you that hopefully should visualize everything that I'm talking about. While the average CTR, click-through rate across Meta, has dropped to 0.9% in the e-commerce space. specifically, you can Google this, like this is not a lie. These brands are achieving 2.5 to the most ridiculous thing that I have ever seen in my career, 8.2% click-through rate, which was like absurd. Here you have examples of brands that are currently generating at scale like a 3% click-through rate, at scale 4.5% click-through rate, at scale 2.7% click-through rate. And then the most ridiculous example is this ad creative that my team produced that ended up generating a 9% click-through rate. They moved it, as you can see here, it's green because they moved it to the scaling campaign. In the scaling campaign, this thing generated 10% click-through rate, which was ridiculous. The cost per acquisition on this ad creative was 200%, no, it cannot be 200% lower, 66% lower than the benchmark for the ad account. Like, this is how powerful the things that I'm going to be sharing today are. And of course, it's your choice on whether or not you want to implement it. I'm just showing you some examples from the brands that we are currently working with. Their ads are being saved, shared, and commented at an 8x the industry average. This is another ad creative produced by my team. And you can see it's been running since the 5th of October, 2023. Still one of the top performing ads inside of the ad account. 15,000 likes, 615,000 views. This ad in particular has generated more than $500,000 in sales. So we're talking about ridiculous strategies right here. Here are some of the, I would say, smaller campaigns that we have run for our clients with like still pretty high engagement rate, pretty high comment rate, pretty high share rate. And then on the right, you can see actually one of the ad creatives that we ran for my own company. That's why you probably don't understand the language here. 4,000 likes in a matter of 2 months, 200 comments, 400 shares. This is what your ad creatives need to achieve. Like, people need to engage with those ads. They cannot be boring. Most importantly, conversion rates have increased by 40 to 130%. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that it's temporary. And that's your biggest advantage. If you make use of it today, you are going to be ahead of your competition. There is a massive advantage for the first wave of brands that master this new approach to ad creative. And you're essentially competing against outdated playbooks while wielding next generation strategies. However, as more brands catch up to this shift, as they always do, remember how everybody transitioned from static ads back in 2021, 2020 to UGC, to TikTok made me buy it, to I'm obsessed, to then slowly introducing the new wave of content such as street interviews, podcasts, VSL, to acquire that attention from new customers. This competitive edge will narrow. The window where this represents an unfair advantage, it will close. And I personally estimate that we have roughly 6 to 9 months, maybe 12 months if we're lucky, to capitalize on this transition and potentially capture market share for our clients that will be defended for years to come. For context, brands that were first to master video ads during the initial Facebook and Instagram transition in 2016-17, they are industry leaders today. Even the founder of the UDI, whose name is David Fogarty, pretty sure that you're well aware of who this person is. Even he says that if he didn't capitalize on Facebook ads back in the day, 2016, 2017, where this was still an untapped niche, he would not have built the UDI to over $1 billion in revenue. It's all about timing. And brands that mastered the shift to TikTok style creative in 2021 built 9-figure businesses on the first mover advantage. And this is the same inflection point today, but for creative pattern interruption in 2025. So in this environment, creative is no longer just one element of your marketing. It has become the primary differentiator between brands that scale and brands that fail. Our data across 50 plus e-commerce accounts shows something remarkable. While most brands are struggling, the top 10% of companies are actually seeing lower cost per acquisition, higher conversion rates, and their returns keep on increasing as they keep scaling the spend because of how good their ad creatives are and how engaging there are to new pockets of audiences. So what separates these winners? They have moved beyond the outdated creative approaches and implemented systems that leverage what we call creative diversity, which is a completely different approach to ad content that matches how consumers actually behave in 2025. And this shift represents the biggest opportunity for market share capture we have seen since the pandemic shopping boom. Brands that master this new creative paradigm aren't just surviving, like they're experiencing explosive growth while competitors fade away. And here's specifically what I'm seeing happening to 7 and 8 figure businesses. Traditional UGC has hit a wall. Consumers have been bombarded with the same cookie cutter ads following the tired hook problem agitation solution call to action framework that every brand has been using since 2022. These scripted, inauthentic videos that worked like magic 2 years ago now trigger immediate ad blindness. And if you're nodding your head right now, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, because you might have experienced a CPA increase of 30 to 50% despite consistently testing new UGC content creators that have been seen thousands of times on other people's ads, ad creative fatigue happening in days rather than weeks, Facebook and TikTok performance that's plateauing or actively declining, you're hitting a revenue ceiling that seems impossible to break through, the frustration of watching your competitors somehow continue to scale while you are stuck. And if this sounds familiar, obviously the good news is that you are attending this masterclass today, because I'm going to be showing you the system that we used to solve these problems for a bedding brand that was facing all of those challenges, and basically how you can implement the same approach to transform your business over the next 90 days. With that being said, I wanted to finally introduce you to the case study that we're going to be breaking down, and I promise you, you are going to love it. So I hope that you are still with me, you're paying attention to everything that I'm saying, and you are ready to take down some notes. Because for privacy reasons, I will not share the name of the client, but they are in the bedding and mattress space. And when they came to us, they were doing about $18,000 to $20,000 a week in generated revenue. They were paying about $350 to $450 CPA on the primary product, as you're going to see in just 1 second. They were struggling to scale beyond that point, despite increasing the ad spend. They were relying on just one product for nearly all of their revenue, and they were using the same old UGC format that everybody else was using, and that's why they were not scaling. So here on your screen, you are going to see a screenshot from the ads manager showing you the transformation, or not the transformation, but the before LGV media stage that this client faced. So as you can see here, they were converting about $16,000 to maybe $20,000 in revenue every single week. And the cost per purchase, as you can see here, after the first week of January, which is when they stopped their New Year's and Christmas sale, skyrocketed to $450. And then it really stabilized between the $300 and $400 mark, which is obviously unsustainable for them. As you can see, the revenue was just flat. Nothing was happening. The 90-day challenge was scale or fail. The founder reached out to me on Instagram after seeing the work we had done with another brand in the same space, Hush Blankets, where we scaled their TikTok account from 0 to 6 figures monthly in about 6 months. But as always, he was skeptical. It took some time for him to decide on whether or not he wanted to test another one of those ad creative agencies that you can see pop up every single day on LinkedIn and on Twitter and on Instagram and YouTube. And it took him 3 weeks and multiple calls before he decided to sign the contract, because to be quite frank, he didn't really believe how can we improve his business, because he tried multiple agencies in the past. He was about to lose belief in agencies in general and start building an in-house team, which we're going to talk about later. So we agreed to this challenge: significantly reduce CPAs while maintaining or increasing the spend. And the result was 60% lower CPA and almost 4 times more revenue. Fast forward 3 months, CPA dropped from 450 to 180. Weekly revenue jumped from 20 to 100K. Return on ad spend improved from 3 to 6. We successfully launched a new product category that now accounts for 20% of the total revenue. And some of the ad creative concepts were producing up to 9 times return on ad spend. And as you can see here, this is a very recent screenshot that I took on the 11th of June, I believe. This is what happened to the account. It was plateauing, it was flat, until it's skyrocketed. And in this week, the week of 21st of May, we actually hit $163,000 in revenue, and our cost per purchase went down to 116. The thing is that we didn't really maintain the 150K in revenue, but we stabilized right around 100 to 120, which is where we are at right now, and which is where we are going to be scaling from in the next 3 to 6 months. The improvements are even more visible on the daily chart, because you can see it's quite clear the before and after state. It's very clear what the cost per purchase was before, and it's very clear what the cost per purchase was later. It's very clear what the purchase conversion value was initially, and then what happened to it later. Like they are hitting in a day revenue that they were generating in a week in the past. Here's what I'm most proud of. After seeing these results, this client extended their contract with us, and they started referring other e-commerce founders to us because of how happy he was with our service. So what we're going to cover today in the next, I wouldn't say 30 minutes, I would try to keep it down to 20 minutes. I'm going to walk you through the exact 3-step process that we used to discover their highest converting angles, how we implemented our UGC 2.0 system to create diverse, high-performing content, and the specific ad formats that generated the best results. The content creators that have allowed us to be so successful. So let's dive in. I'm going to introduce you what we call UGC 2.0, which is something that I'm super excited about. This system has completely transformed the results for our clients, and that's the main reason why we have only lost one client in 2025. And that's not because our results were shit, it's because their ad account got hacked, and the hackers did spend a lot of money that the business couldn't really cover easily. So that's the only brand that we lost this year. As we've just discussed, traditional UGC has dominated, but it's hit a wall. Consumers have developed the pattern recognition blindness, and UGC 2.0 breaks this pattern through 3 critical elements that we will explore today. Pay attention, write this down, do whatever you can to internalize the information, because this is where the nitty-gritty actually starts. So, persona diversity. This is the first element of a successful strategy, creating tailored content for different customer segments. The second element, angle diversity, using multiple selling angles based on actual customer motivations. And the third element is creative diversity, implementing various content formats that don't look like ads. Now let's start with the first one. The first element of UGC 2.0 is the persona diversity, understanding and creating content for different customer types. For our betting client, we started with a comprehensive AI analysis of the customer base, which is something that I highly recommend you do as well. Here's what we did. We exported all of the 3,700 customer reviews from their Shopify store. We ran them through an advanced AI analysis using Claude and GPT-4, and then we used specific prompts to extract customer motivations and language patterns. Now, the first prompt that you cannot afford to miss or to skip is this one that you can see on your screen. This is the first thing that's going to set the tone for the AI to do the right work and to do the work that you actually want it to do. You are the creative strategist for an 8-figure e-commerce business. You are responsible for creating winning ads for Meta and TikTok. I will upload a CSV file with over 3,000 reviews, analyze it, and then provide detailed insights on the most common pain points before people bought this product. Include more insights too. And then, of course, you give it a breakdown of the CSV file just so that it can understand better what are the columns and what is it looking at. So title, body, rating, etc., whatever your CSV file has, just give it more context. What you will receive here will be a great starting point for your research. And then follow up with this prompt. This is going to be the eye-opener for you. What are the top reasons why people decided to buy our product? You should expect to see something like what you see here on this screenshot. This AI prompt allowed the Claude in this case to arrange in descending order the top reasons why people bought our mattress in this case. So feel free to do it with whatever product you are selling. And it actually showed us exactly how many reviews did mention which reason. And then it also listed some of the best reviews that it found in the CSV file, which can completely transform your strategy, because obviously the main reason why we do all this is to speak the exact same language that our customers are speaking in. So when you have something like this extracted and shown in a condensed way, then you are on to a winning creative strategy. This prompt gave us the top 10 reasons in descending order why people bought our product, which was invaluable when it came down to element number 2, which was angle diversity, which we will discuss in just a minute. So we supplemented this analysis with several other research methods, such as Reddit, such as Amazon, and then The best one probably, which is the Instagram cheat code, which I think that it might make sense for me to even show this to you because it's actually a huge unlock. When you go on IG, you open your brand and then you start looking at the tagged section. Opening the tagged section would really allow you to understand who your customer is. Not only hear what they say or read what they say in your review, in their reviews, but actually see what they do on a daily basis. For example, for this brand that I'm about to become a customer of, because I'm pretty interested in buying their jewelry, I can understand who their customer is just by looking at the tag section. For example, here you see a handsome guy who has a nice hairstyle, who has probably the latest iPhone, who has an Apple Watch. He's probably into the gym as well because you can see like he's looking pretty good. He's interested in like vacations, beach, luxury lifestyle potentially, like he's eating healthy. So you can understand a lot more about your customer just by checking who is tagging the brand that you're advertising for or the brand that you own on your IG stories. Here you can see the same thing. A guy with a nice haircut, he's interested into fashion, he's apparently very fashionable, he's traveling once again. So two people that we have just seen are already interested in traveling. So apparently you're advertising to travelers. Here, once again, somebody who's into fashion, he's wearing a nice shirt, obviously good looking hair, tattoos, potentially also going to the gym. You can even open the profile of this person. He's a model, he's an actor, he's a musician, he's an athlete. So you can just learn so much about your customers just by opening up the tagged section. Like this is ridiculous. If I have to be honest, in the amount of information that you can generate. And our Instagram method was specifically revealing because by analyzing the customer who tagged our client, we uncovered deeper lifestyle patterns that were not visible in any other way and shape and form in the reviews alone. For example, the health conscious customers were deeply invested into holistic wellness beyond just mattresses. Like they were going to the gym, they were optimizing their sleep, they were optimizing their food, etc., etc. And based on this research, we found 4 distinct customer personas, which is something that you should be doing all the time, just uncovering who your customer is. In our particular case, we had a side sleeper, we had a back pain sufferer, we had a couple, and then we had an eco-conscious consumer. And it's absolutely vital for you to understand that you cannot advertise to the different customer avatars using the same content, because a content positioning your product as the solution to side sleepers or to hip pain when you're a side sleeper, this is not going to resonate to any of the rest of your potential customers. And this is going to prevent you from unlocking those customer avatars and unlocking those people and audiences. And of course, it's going to either delay or completely make your scale impossible. I hope this makes sense. This persona identification was a critical step as it allowed us to create tailored content for each segment. This is how you scale. Tailored content for each segment, testing multiple different angles, multiple different ad formats. Element number 2, angle diversity. The second element of UGC 2.0 is angle diversity, because identifying and using multiple selling angles based on what actually motivates purchases is how you build a successful creative strategy. And a major breakthrough in our process came from seemingly simple but powerful insight. The brand was focused on the wrong selling angle entirely. Like they completely missed the point, because when we first looked at their ad account, we noticed something interesting. The majority of their budget was being spent on ads, positioning them as like the cheaper alternative to competitor brands. And the value for money angle dominated their ad creative strategy, as you are going to see right here. These are some examples from the ad account. Stop overpaying for the name. A content creator with the green screen effect comparing the price of our product to the product of our competitors, in this case, Saatva mattresses, avocado mattresses. Stop overpaying for your organic mattress. Like this approach was generating a decent return. Like they were making money. They were making like 16, 20K, profitable, but couldn't scale. They hit a plateau and couldn't seem to break through the revenue ceiling. So we decided to dig deeper. And what we found was eye-opening. Out of the 3,700 reviews, the value for money angle was mentioned in only 388 reviews, which was about 10% of the total feedback. Like, this is ridiculous. Imagine spending time on acquiring customers with a message that they don't give a shit about. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, two other purchase motivators dominated the reviews. First of all, you had the comfort and support, which appeared almost 5 times more frequently than the price consideration. And then you had natural and non-toxic materials, which also appeared almost 5 times more than the value for money angle. So in other words, the brand was spending most of its advertising budget emphasizing an angle that resonated with only 10% of the customers. Like, it didn't make any sense. And please check this in your ad creative strategy and make sure that your messaging aligns to actually what your customers want. And this misalignment was costing them millions of dollars in potential revenue, because we scaled from 20K a week to 100K a week, which meant that they were losing $80,000 every single week, which was like ridiculous. If you multiply this by 52, like, they were using $4 million annually because of the unoptimized advertising. And the founder did take 3 weeks to consider whether or not he should start working with us. So in these 3 weeks, he lost what, $240,000. Yeah, you can do the math. So if your ads focus on price, when your most satisfied customers care more about comfort and health, you're essentially filtering for price-sensitive customers who are harder to convert and have a lower lifetime value, because the next cheaper alternative that comes up, they're gonna buy it. They don't give a shit about your business. We were leaving the most valuable customer on the table. And based on this discovery, we completely pivoted our ad creative strategy, because this is what allowed us to align our angle to our avatar. Because for the side sleepers, we showed comfort and support. For the pain sufferer, we showed comfort, support, health and pain, scientific research. For the couples, comfort and support. Once again, the eco-conscious consumer, natural and non-toxic. But price, like, this was not a strategy. We didn't attack the price angle because nobody really cared about it. And these are just some of the examples that you can see. And the biggest lever that we were able to pull was the video content, which I'm actually going to show to you in a second. But here, as you can see here, we attacked different customer avatars with different ad creatives. Cancer risk, back pain, the transformation that you're going to be experiencing, chiropractors, because obviously people with back pain, they went to chiropractors. And when you have a chiropractor, you have authority. And when you have authority, people are much more likely to buy your product. Element number 3, which is probably the most important element of this whole presentation and the whole strategy that we implemented, is creative diversity and moving beyond the standard person talking to the camera UGC format that consumers have learned to tune out from, as the one that you can see here and the one that you can see here, which was the dominant UGC style for this particular client. Now, this is where true differentiation happens and where you can gain an advantage against your competition. Listen carefully, because we're going to talk about the actual video production, and if you miss that, your strategy will fail. Each ad you make finds its own audience. This is something that you have to remember. If you're making the same type of creative over and over and over again, you're telling Meta to find the exact same person, which it has already found multiple times. The algorithm's job is to serve the most relevant video or image to each specific person every single time. So to reach a more diversified set of people and overcome creative fatigue from the people you are already reaching, you need to give Meta a diversified portfolio of creatives to choose from, which means for advertisers in 2025, you have to start thinking beyond just creating standard UGC format. The modern day formats include ugly ads, which intentionally break the polished, overly produced look. You have podcast ads that leverage popularity and credibility of the format. You have VSL ads, which are the biggest unlock for any e-commerce business that's selling a product that requires a bit more explanation than the typical fashion or jewelry business, because they provide a comprehensive information for research-oriented customers, which are actually most of the customers that you could acquire. You have employee-generated content, you have founder story ads, you have street interviews that all leverage the popularity of what's currently working. and so much more. Now, with that in mind, we completely changed the ad creative strategy for our client who was paying just random content creators $300 per video and sending them $1,000 mattress just to get trash content with no research behind it. We implemented 5 of the above formats, 4 of which I am going to show you now. The first one is basically the ugly UGC ad creative. Rather than using perfect lighting, rather than having everything be absolutely perfect, we just had the creator film testimonials in their bedrooms. The unpolished nature increased credibility and made the content feel more authentic. This format particularly resonated with the eco-conscious avatar as it just felt more genuine for someone who had overcome similar issues. And what's being referred to as an ugly ad is not purposefully making your ad creatives look bad, but creating content that's very low production, minimal editing, minimal effort, but produced with a ton of research, such as the one.
I was shocked to learn over 70% of mattresses contain harmful chemicals, but I finally found one that's completely toxin-free, and it's amazing for my back. I've slowly been replacing things in my home I never knew were toxic, and my mattress surprised me. Not only was it getting old and losing its back support, but it also had toxins I never even thought about. I knew I needed a mattress that was actually clean and...
So that's how it looks like. A lot of action, a lot of motion, a lot of activity, multiple different people involved into the ad. And by the way, this is key. Like if you can have more than one person be involved into your ad creative, you are probably gonna have a winning ad, because most ad creatives, boring ad creatives that people are used to seeing, they only feature one person, like a content creator talking to the camera. So if you have a content creator, such as the one right here that you're actually gonna get access to later, if your content creator can include more people into your ad, this ad automatically becomes an ad with higher chances of success. Then what did we have was podcast style ad creatives. So we created discussion-based content between sleep enthusiasts. Obviously, these were not enthusiasts. These were paid content creators about topics like harmful chemicals in conventional mattresses and the benefits of natural materials. This format doesn't immediately register as an ad because it just feels educational. And this is everything that you have to do on social media if you want to attract new customers. We're talking about cold audiences. We're not talking about warm audiences that are already familiar with your product. We're talking about cold audiences. It performed exceptionally well. And here's I'm going to show you the podcast, which is actually this one right here. It's a bit longer than the previous one, but I don't care. I'm here to share value with you.
Did you know that most mattress brands use questionable chemicals to keep the cost down?
Ew, really?
So sadly, yes, there was a study done that talks about how all these mattresses now have they're like these chemicals that can cause cancer, respiratory disruption, hormone.
Okay. You get the point. I'm not going to pay it until the end. And just look at the metrics. Like it had 50% thumbs up rate. It had 7% average playtime, which if you are monitoring this inside of your ad account, you would know that most ads get like 3 seconds. If they're lucky, they might get 4. But it also got like 3.3% click-through rate. And it actually became one of the instant winners inside of the ad account. And here are some tactics. You need to pique curiosity with the hook. Like start high. Don't start low, because it's just going to be a weak hook, and don't start with I statements because people don't give a shit about the content creator unless that's an A-list celebrity, which probably you don't have. And as you can see here, it started with something with a problem that our health conscious ICP would resonate with. Did you know that most mattress brands use toxic chemicals to keep the cost down? And this automatically becomes an ad that is relevant to pretty much everyone who sleeps on a mattress, because nobody wants to sleep on a mattress that has toxic chemicals, right? And that's why it had a 50% hook rate. Like it was tremendously good. Fast-paced edits, because podcast videos are pretty boring, if I have to be honest. And you need to introduce a new scene, B-roll, animations, like split screen footage, stock footage, etc., as much as you can. And ideally once every 1 to 3 seconds. Short on-screen captions, as you saw, our ad creative just had like 1 to 3 words at a time.
Did you know that most?
So this is like pretty important because you don't want to overwhelm people and you want them to be easily able to follow the script and what the content creator is talking about. And then second of all, just keep it around 60 seconds. I would advise you to do this because we've tested multiple different versions, 3, 4, 2, 1 minutes, 45 seconds, somewhere around the 60 to 65 second mark performed the best. Now, probably the most important part of the this element, the third element, which name I forgot because I just forgot, the creative diversity, is the VSL ad creatives. We've developed VSL ad creatives for pretty much every single client that we currently work with, and these are by far the top performing ad creatives for, once again, new customer acquisition. The longer format created space for addressing multiple objections and building a compelling case for the product benefits. And this is perfect if you're selling in a very saturated market, if your product needs a lot of explanation and you want to attract people from the unaware audience segment. This is the perfect ad for new customer acquisition. And let me show you. I'm actually going to show you one ad that I like more than the example that you see right here, but you can access both of them here using the link, or I guess those links right here. So
fiberglass has been added to many mattresses to help fireproof them.
Over 2,000 people joined a class action lawsuit stating
Fiberglass particle.
okay, I think that's enough, but you see how we leveraged news articles to basically hook people in, make them interested in the topic, and then proceed with the content creator talking about the scientific proof of how bad the fiberglass inside of your mattress is and how it can hurt your health, like your hormones, pretty much everything. Like it can destroy your life. And then founder story ads. If you have been following me for quite some time, you know that I'm just gonna open the Q&A. Okay, there is no sound. Cool. Appreciate the note here. But anyway, you probably already saw pretty much everything that you needed to see. So, founder story ads. We created a 90-second ad telling the story of the two founders and what led them to start the business. Because telling the story of the people behind the business establishes a strong connection between the viewer and the face of the company. This format performs exceptionally well for all of the avatars and for all of the clients, and instantly became a top performer in the ad account because founder-led content serves a specific purpose. And this is an umbrella for attracting all customer types, and it's based on establishing personal connection between the people behind the brand and its customers. And yes, I am going to share with you a link to this document so that you can basically check it out yourself later. And after implementing the creative diversity, the persona diversity, and the angle diversity, it was dramatic. Like, we couldn't really believe what happened to this account because we saw almost a 400% increase in the total number of purchases, 55% decrease in the cost per purchase, 400% increase in revenue, and 211% increase in return on ad spend, all from simply aligning the creative message with what the customers actually care about. Like, it's so simple, yet it's so complicated because not many people understand what they need to do and how good creative strategy really works. Most brands develop creative strategies based on assumptions, based on trends, based on what ads competitors are running, rather than just analyzing the data they already have at their fingertips. So the three key benefits. What makes UGC 2.0 so effective? It's personalization at scale. Traditional personalization is manual and difficult to scale, but UGC 2.0 really creates a system for targeting specific customers with a specific message, specific angle, basically showing that you understand their problem. Then you have pattern interruption. Each format intentionally breaks the pattern, the predictable ad patterns, because, for example, street interviews, or even podcast ads. Like my TikTok feed is full of podcast ads. Why? Because I want to educate myself when I go on social media instead of waste my time. So I watch podcasts, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, like whatever shows up on my feed that's relevant to what I do on a daily basis or my interest. I tend to watch it without even seeing like who is the ad from, what's the copy, how many likes does it have. Like as long as the information is relevant for me, I watch it. That's a stealth ad creative. Stealth meaning something that it's hard for people to really realize that this ad creative is an actual ad instead of an organic piece of content. So that's why it works. It just leads to higher engagement, more attention, they share, they comment, they like, etc., and then continuous optimization. Because this system creates a clear framework for ongoing improvement. Like you perfectly know which avatar you need to focus on in the future, which ad concept works best for you, which messaging, which angle. Like you can break it down granularly in a way that you can create your creative strategy for the next 6 months just by collecting the learnings from one single batch of content. And some common pitfalls that you need to avoid. The one hit wonder, like it doesn't happen. Many brands find a winning ad and try to replicate its success with minor variations. Like that's not gonna work. You need pretty much everything. Like you need all of the different ad creatives that you can think of. You need videos, you need statics, you need high production, you need low production, you need GIFs, you need like not GIFs, you need everything. More creators does not always equal better results, because without a strategic framework, you're just basically setting your money on fire. Most brands guess what messaging will resonate rather than analyzing the data. And yeah, actually these were the 3 common pitfalls. So UGC 2.0 really works across virtually all e-commerce categories. For fashion brands, it helps target different styles, different preferences, different purchase motivations. For beauty products, diverse skincare problems, aesthetic goals. For home goods, various lifestyle aspirations, practical needs. Like you can adapt it to every single product on the planet. The key is to just understand who you're targeting, create different angles, different formats that will resonate to your audience. And this is basically how you do it. Now, there are multiple different ways for you to implement the winning ad creative system. And number 1 is build an in-house team. Like this is kind of the wet dream of every single founder, building your own in-house creative team. And this is what a lot of 8 and 9 figure brands do, and for good reason. Having complete control over your ad creative is powerful. With that being said, our agency is currently being consulted by the head of paid social at Hexclad. I'm pretty sure that you know Hexclad if you have been into e-commerce for more than like 2 weeks. And do you know how many agencies do they have? 5. They have 5 different agencies on top of an in-house team. But let me break down the cost for you. So you need a talented creative strategist. Here you're looking at 60 to 120 a year in salary. You need 2 to 3 video editors and graphic designers. That's another $60,000 to $150,000 annually. And then every single month, you're gonna pay 5 to 10K for content creators, for shooting equipment, for production software, subscriptions, etc. So the total cost would not be $1,000, $2,000. It's gonna be 20 to 30K every single month if you want to have a lean team, an efficient team. If you want to add copywriters and head of performance creative, such as Hexclad, like you need to be doing 7 figures a month just to justify the expense, which is not going to be profitable for you within the first 6 to 12 months, because obviously the system is not going to be optimized. And second of all, you need to train those people. Like you cannot expect them to come into your team and then start performing day one. Like that's not possible. So yes, an in-house team is great if you have unlimited time and resources, but if you are like most e-commerce brands in the 2 to 20 million range, yeah, don't consider this option. Then you have option number 2, which is the option that our client used to run with before they started working with us, just hiring individually content creators, because it just seems affordable. Like $300 for a UGC, that's phenomenal. Like $300 in the hopes of getting a winning ad that's going to generate you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like that's crazy, that's ridiculous. But the painful reality is that most founders discover that you have to brief each creator individually. Zero directional framework. Most content simply just doesn't convert, and you end up paying thousands in testing videos that don't work. We have seen brands spend up to 10K per month on random creator content with absolutely nothing to show for except for a folder of videos that the algorithm rejected. So remember this, like please remember this. Being cheap is oftentimes the most expensive option because you pay with money and then you pay with your time. And basically option number 3, partner with a specialized creative agency that's built specifically to produce winning ad creatives at scale. Now, like most agencies are absolutely dog shit. Like I know this because I have a lot of friends in the agency space. I have a lot of people who work in an agency. I know a lot of brands that have worked with agencies, the biggest and the most successful, or brands or agencies that nobody has ever heard of. Most of them are absolutely trash. So they're built with the sole goal of generating as much profit as humanly possible, which usually means cutting corners on quality and strategy. But a good creative strategy, one obsessed with results rather than billing hours, is an entirely different story. And here's why working with an agency really does make sense. Because when you work with a specialized agency, you are essentially getting access to a proven creative strategist. You then have multiple editors and designers. You have a network of pre-vetted content creators and proprietary frameworks and methods that are priceless. Like they are priceless. So all for a fraction of the cost of what you would be, what would you need to build an in-house team. At our agencies, we review 200 plus applications, and we're currently hiring a creative strategist. So if you're a creative strategist, then feel free to DM me on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you want. And hit me up and I'm going to send you the application link. So we've spent years developing and perfecting our UGC 2.0. We've produced thousands of ad creatives across like a shit ton of niches and products, etc., etc. So for an e-commerce business doing $5 million in annual revenue, improving your creative performance by just 40%, which is on the lower end of the UGC 2.0 system, that would mean an additional $2 million in annual revenue. Every month you wait to implement a proven creative system is costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars in unrealized revenue. And consider this betting company had already spent over $200,000 on various creative approaches before they even came to us. Within 90 days, we cut their CPA by 60%, which was something that they never experienced before. They didn't need to hire anyone. They didn't need to build a system from scratch. They didn't need to spend months figuring out what works. They simply plugged into our UGC 2.0 system. And smart founders think in ROI, not cost. Please remember this. So the special gift, I think that's the end of the presentation. As I promised in the beginning, for those who stay until the end, I have a special gift that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's a list of our top 10 content creators. You can just scan this link, scan this link with your phone, and then you are gonna gain access to a document with the top 10 content creators that have created pretty much every ad format that you can think of for our clients and have generated our clients millions of dollars. As you saw, we have generated $16 million in sales for our clients since the beginning of the year. And this is probably going to jump to like 40 or even 50 million by the end of the year, just because of Q4 and how profitable Q4 is for us. Now, I would like to ask for your permission just to show you a special offer that we are currently running for our agency, including the 3 paths to move forward from here. And then we'll go into Q&A. So please prepare your questions and give me like 2 more minutes. Path number 1, do nothing. The first option is to do nothing. After watching this video, keep running the same ads, use the same creative approaches. But obviously this means continuing to see high CPAs, watching your competitors gain market share, leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars in potential revenue on the table, and getting progressively frustrated as creative fatigue sets in. Like, obviously we know that this is not a valid option for your business. The path number 2, DIY implementation. Take everything that you can from this presentation, because I've laid out the framework, I've shown you the case studies, I explained the mechanism. This is just something that you have to expect. 6 to 12 months in building systems and processes from scratch, going through painful trial and error, making expensive mistakes, investing significant time. And the harsh reality is that by the time you have figured this all out, the window of opportunity that we have discussed right now may have already started to close. And I have seen this happen again and again with brands that take the DIY, do-it-yourself approach. They eventually get there, but the opportunity cost is massive. And then path number 3 is to partner with us and implement our proven UGC 2.0 system in your business immediately. Here's what's going to happen. Like, you skip the 12-month learning curve, you leverage our content of vetted content creators, you get access to a proprietary framework and system that has generated tens of millions of dollars in revenue and you see results in weeks, not months. So for select e-commerce businesses doing 2 million plus annually, we offer our complete UGC 2.0 partner program. This is a done for you solution with complete customer avatar research, access to 100 plus vetted content creators, 50 to 100 high converting ad creatives every single month, full post-production and editing, performance analysis, bi-weekly calls, etc., etc. And once again, only a 40% increase on a $5 million a month, a year brand is going to be an extra $170K in additional revenue. So to put it this way, every month you delay implementing an effective creative system is potentially costing you $170,000 in unrealized revenue. So now you have all the information that you need. You can start capturing on the market share right now or in 3 months, where you're probably going to reach out to me once again. And this here is only limited availability because we just have space for 2 new partners this quarter. Like, I wish that we had more spots, but we don't. So here you can scan this link and book your UGC 2.0 strategy session with me, and we are going to see what we can do for you and how we can work together.